and welcome to Rubber and Ink. We're going to start today with a crumb cake base, and we're also going to use 2 layers of Whisper White and another layer of the crumb cake cardstock. It's a lot of layers, but we're going to be stamping on it. So next we're going to be using Versamark ink and the leaves of the Bells and Bows stamp set. I'm not showing it there, but you really need to use the stamping buddy before um, you stamp with the Versamark ink because we're going to be embossing. So just ink it up the whole base all around, especially on the borders, and make sure your stamp is really just up with the Versamark. Because this is a very detailed stamp, it's important that you ink it up really well and try not to move the stamp as you stamp it on the card. I'm going to accelerate a little bit of the video, so I'm just adding the white embossing powder to the images on the card, just making sure that all the images are coated and nothing is where it shouldn't be. So you just step it on and make sure that everything is coated with the embossing powder prior to using the heat tool. Just apply the heat tool to the embossing powder and you're going to see it change from a grainy um, look to a melted look. It does it really easily. We're going to leave that to dry and then go on to the smaller piece of crumb cake cardstock. And this time we're going to use the other leaf, the one with the poinsettias, and apply the leaves only to the left side, one on the bottom and one on the top. Again with Versamark ink, and don't forget the embossing buddy to make sure that nothing sticks where it shouldn't. Just again, just make sure that both images are on the bottom and the top left side only. So you can use the other side for the sentiment. When you're using the heat gun, try to move it around as much as it can so the cardstock doesn't warp too much. Um, it's always a good idea to preheat the gun a little bit, about 30 seconds or so. Most of the times does it. Um, so there you go, ready to go. Wait a little bit until the embossing powder is dry, and then you're going to color the leaves. I color them with cherry cobbler and Bravo Burgundy markers. The interesting thing about crumb cake cardstock is that it takes a while to dry, which is a good thing when you're trying to get shades and stuff. But in this case, I'm just alternating the leaves of the poinsettias with um, the 2 markers. You can also try your red and Bravo Burgundy. 2 reds that have a good contrast would be a good idea to use. Once you're ready and colored it in, just blot the colored parts with some paper. Anything that went over the embossed lines by me just sitting there, so you don't want to do that. Next, we're going to be stamping the sentiment that we are going to use again with Versamark and also um, white embossing powder. I'm using the Stamp-A-Majig in this case because I cannot do anything straight to save my life. Next, we're going to start assembling it. So you're going to adhere the colored part onto the small piece of Whisper White cardstock. Um, just adhere directly onto the card. And I try to use my grid mat to make sure that I'm aligning everything as it should. So in this assembly um, is also very easy. All you have to do is put the 2 pieces of um, crumb cake card straight onto the Whisper White as you can see there. And then we're going to use the Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere the colored part on to the base. So don't skimp on Stampin' Dimensionals. You don't want the card to be all um, dangly. So I normally put two pieces on the center to make sure it doesn't go concave. It looks horrible. So once you assemble the two embossed parts onto the white cardstock, use Stampin' Dimensionals to put both of them, one on top of the other, and then those two on top of the base card. And try to align them as much as you can. And we are pretty much finished with the card. It's a very easy card to make. It takes some time to emboss, and you can also put little rhinestones in the middle of the poinsettias just to give it, a different finish or some bling since it's Christmas. It's totally optional. I really, really like the look though. I think it looks really, really good. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it and you join me tomorrow for another card. Thank you.